My name is Dwight McDonald. I am president of the 100 Black Men of West Texas and also an attorney here in town. And I wanted to visit with you a little bit about how mentoring changes lives and the value of mentoring. When you talk to people about mentoring, the first thing you get is usually some resistance. They want to know, why should I mentor? And they come up with all kinds of excuses about why they can't mentor. I'm busy. I've got family of my own I've got to take care of. I work 2 jobs. I'm a single parent. And then they always want to talk about how young people today, and I'm talking primarily mentoring teens, preteens, those kind of folks. They say, well, those kids don't really want, look at them, they're walking around, the dang pants are sagging down, got all these loops in their ears, earrings in their nose, mohawks and all that kind of stuff. And so when you visit with someone, you try to explain to them what mentoring is first. It's a way to share your knowledge, your information, your wisdom with someone who's younger, maybe less fortunate than you are. And in doing so, hopefully you will be able to guide that person from where they are to where their potential could take them. That's all mentoring is. And so when you mentor, you have to understand that it's a two-way street. Yes, you're exchanging your knowledge, your wisdom, your information with this younger person, but in turn, they are giving you a different view on life. They're giving you a youthful perspective on life. So it's a two-way street. And what you're doing when you mentor is you're paving the pathway to success, or paving the potholes in the pathway to success for these young people. And the asphalt that you're using to pave those potholes is hope. Because that's what mentoring is. You're providing hope to young people. You're giving them the belief that they can accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. Hope is a powerful thing. It can't be measured. Hope is what took Nelson Mandela from a prison in South Africa to the presidency of South Africa. Hope is what caused the man in Tiananmen Square to stand in front of a tank and say, you're not going through me. It was the hope for a better day, hope for a better life. Hope is what took Detroit Red to Malcolm X. So when you mentor, you are providing hope to young people. Now, if you're not going to mentor, you need to understand that there are going to be some kids that fall through the cracks. And what happens to those kids? When they fall through the cracks, we in America have a prison industrial system that is waiting for those children, more than happy to take them. We incarcerate more people in the United States than any civilized nation per capita. Right now in the United States, we have 1.4 million people in prison. If you include all of the people that are incarcerated in county jails and city jails, we have 2.4 million people that are incarcerated. We spend $30,000 a year to imprison someone when a college education costs you $20,000 a year. So when you provide that hope to those young people, you not only are doing them a service, you're doing America a service. So you say, why should I mentor? Well, you should mentor because someone mentored you. You didn't just show up well-dressed, well-educated, well-spoken. Someone saw something in you that they decided, you know what? If I could just get this young man to see this, maybe he will want to do better. And so you should mentor because someone mentored you. You're paying the debt that you owe to the person who mentored you. And you say, but these dang kids, they're sagging pants and tattoos. Why am I going to get mixed up with them? Well, if you look past the sagging pants, tattoos, and you set aside making that moral judgment about the character or worth of another human being based on their outward appearance or the physical manifestation of that appearance, and take the time to say, I am going to sit down and visit with this person. What you will find is once you start doing that, that person will then start to have an increased expectation for themselves. That person will see their own aspirations begin to increase. And when their aspirations increase, maybe we can get their pants to come up a little bit. Okay? So that's why you mentor, because someone mentored you. You know, when we're born, we don't get to choose who our parents are. We don't get to choose the circumstances into which we're born into this world. We don't get to choose how tall we are or how intelligent we are. But at some point in your life, you do get to choose how hard you're willing to work to become the person you want to be. And you see, mentors are able to help younger folks cut through all the diverse problems that they have to navigate through in today's society, and help them to see that maybe if I start making choices that are better, the outcome or the expectation for my life will become better. Because if not, that prison industrial system that I talked to you about that has 1.4 million people in it, the Department of Justice did a study 2 years ago trying to find out some of the background and history of the folks that are incarcerated. And what they found out was 39% of the people in prison come from a single-parent home. And what we as a society need to do is to be able to tell those single parents, you may be a single parent, but you're not raising this child alone, because we are going to help you by mentoring that child. Of those prisoners or inmates, they looked at the women in prison, and what they determined was 52% of the women in prison came from a home that did not have a father figure. Now, we all know that teenage girls have a much higher pregnancy rate if there's no father figure involved, but boys and girls have a much higher dropout rate in high school if there's no father figure involved. And I'm not saying that a mentor can take the place of a parent, but you can certainly bridge the gap, and by doing so, provide some hope for this young person so that they do not get caught up in that system that is constantly needing new blood. And so you mentor because you were mentored. You mentor because you don't want those kids to fall through the cracks. And in doing so, you increase the hope for the young folks. But what you'll find out is it'll start to increase your hope for the future of this country. Because by being involved with the folks who are the future of this country, you then begin to see more than just the sagging pants and the loud music and the earrings and all of that kind of stuff. You actually begin to see that when you get involved with these young people, there's some substance there. You may have to scratch the surface, but there's some substance there. And so it increases your hope about the future. Because, as we all know, every generation looks at the generation behind it as being the worst generation to ever come on. Those guys, I don't know what this country's going to be when these guys get up here. That has been the philosophy or the thought from time immemorial to now. And it will continue. But this country continues to survive and do well. I submit to you, we spend, on average, about $1 billion a year per state to incarcerate folks. Texas spends a little more because, in Texas we incarcerate a lot more people. But what if by mentoring these young folks, we decreased the prison population in Texas by 10%. And that $1 billion that we spent, we actually only spend $900 million. We have $100 million that the government could spend on education. Because when you mentor, if you take that young person off the incarceration path and put them on the educational path, you save money right off the bat because it costs $30,000 a year to incarcerate them, costs $20,000 a year to educate them. But then in the long run, you save $100 million because you've decreased that population by 10%. Not to mention the fact that when you are incarcerated and you are released, your earning capacity goes down 40% over your lifetime. So now you have a person who has paid their debt to society, but they're not able to make a proper living. Whereas if we have them educated, they are now a productive tax-paying citizen and much more likely to produce productive tax-paying citizens. Because whether it's drug use, prison, or education, those kids are going to become what they see. So if mom and dad are working, it's much more likely the kids are going to do that. If mom and dad are educated, or at least pushing education, much more likely they're going to become educated. Because in that study, it showed, the Department of Justice showed that of the inmates that were in prison, about 22% of them had fathers that had also been incarcerated. So that's why you mentor, because when you do that, you help America become the best that she can be. You help those young people become things that they never dreamed of. Because if they can't see it, there's really no way for them to imagine, how can I be that when I've never seen that? And that's what mentoring does. It provides the hope. It bridges that gap from where they are to where they should be. Because we all owe a debt to someone. We have this mythology in America of the self-made man. I did it on my own. I didn't need any help. Pulled myself up by my bootstraps. That's false. And if you're honest with yourself, and if that person is honest with himself or herself, they know that's false as well. Because we all know that somebody, somewhere, helped you become who you are by giving you the mentorship, the guidance, the instruction that you needed to get to where you were trying to get to. So let's do away with this self-made person and say, let's do away with making these outward moral judgments. And let's not let any of these young people fall through the cracks. Let's step up, become a mentor, because it's easy to give money. Money's good. Hey, I donated here and I donated there, and that's great. But what you can't do is allow yourself to be fooled into thinking that, hey, I've donated money and I close off the charity of heart that would allow me to actually go out and participate and do something about what's going on. Because that's what we end up doing, is we complain a lot about what's going on, and that's easy. The real deal is, what are you going to do about it? I submit to you that when someone asks, why should I mentor? The better question should be, knowing what you know now, why are you not mentoring? Thank you.